All right, let's do this. GANs. Generative Adversarial Networks. We're diving deep today into how they're making, well, faces, mostly. And anything you can think of, really. Any image. Probably seen them, right? Those crazy realistic fake people online. Or like AI art popping up everywhere.
Yeah, it's wild.
So we're going to break it all down, how it works, where it's going, why it even matters.
Sounds good.
I think a lot of people, they see this stuff and it's like magic, you know?
Totally. And what's really fascinating is how they work. It's like this constant competition, right?
Okay.
So imagine like two neural networks going head to head, battling it out.
Okay.
You got the generator, that's our artist, and then the discriminator playing the role of the critic.
A battle of the algorithms. Okay, I'm with you. But break it down for me. How does this digital art duel actually work?
Think of it like a counterfeiter, right?
Okay.
So that's our generator. They're trying to make fake paintings that could pass for the real deal. And then you've got the art appraiser, our discriminator, trying to spot those forgeries.
Nice.
So the better the counterfeiter gets, the more discerning the appraiser has to become. You know, it's that back and forth that really makes them both better, that push and pull.
They're training each other, constantly upping the game.
Exactly.
That's so cool. So I can see how that would lead to, you know, some really impressive results.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't jump from like blurry blobs to photorealistic faces overnight.
Oh, no, definitely not.
How these models evolve to create what we're seeing now?
The evolution it's pretty incredible. Early models like DCGAN, they introduced CNNs, convolutional neural networks.
Right.
Think of CNNs like the specialized part of the network, and they're really good at understanding images.
Yeah.
That was definitely a step in the right direction, but still pretty limited. You know, image size, quality, things like that.
And then wasn't it ProGAN that really made the resolution jump? I remember reading about that.
ProGAN, yeah. That changed the game completely. It started building images layer by layer, beginning with a low-res version, then gradually adding detail. So you end up with a high-resolution image.
So it's like starting with like a rough sketch and then like slowly refining it.
Exactly. Yeah, like a masterpiece. And that was key because it solved a lot of the stability issues that really plagued those earlier GANs. Made high-res images almost impossible before that.
And then things got really wild with StyleGAN, right?
Yeah.
That's the model everyone's talking about. Control over all those details, tweaking hair color, even facial expressions.
It was huge.
Next level.
Because it gave us this unprecedented control. Image features. Before StyleGAN, sure, we could generate, you know, realistic faces, but not really control the specifics. Now, adjust subtle features, blend styles. It's like you've got a set of digital sliders for every aspect of a face. It's not just realistic, it's specific.
I'm starting to see why this is so much bigger than like fake faces. You know, it's this potential to create entirely new visual experiences.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But hold on, we got these AIs, right? Spitting out amazing images. But how do we measure how good they are? Like, what makes one AI-generated image better than another?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
You're right. Looking at them just isn't enough. We need ways to quantify the results, you know. So two of the main metrics we use are FID, that stands for Fréchette Inception Distance, and then there's IS, or Inception Score.
Okay.
FID basically measures how statistically similar the generated images are to real ones.
So, like, how good is the AI at mimicking reality?
Exactly. The lower the score, the closer it is. Sharing a lot of those statistical similarities with, you know, real photos.
Gotcha.
And then you have the Inception Score, and that's all about image quality and diversity within the generated set.
So is the AI just churning out the same face with, like, minor tweaks?
Right.
Or is it exploring a wider range of possibilities?
Right, and making sure each image is, you know, high quality.
So a high IS suggests the AI is producing varied high-quality outputs, not stuck in a rut. Exactly, but it's important to remember these metrics, while useful, they're not perfect. They don't tell the whole story.
Okay, that makes sense. So what are we missing then? What else should we be looking at when we evaluate these AI-generated images?
Well, think about it. You know, FID and IS, they're very focused on the technical stuff, like how close are the images to real ones? How much variety? But they don't really capture the art part of it. You know what I mean?
So it's like they're grading the AI artist on technique, but not the creativity.
Exactly. When we look at, you know, art made by people, we consider way more than just the skill, the composition, the style, you know, the feelings it brings up, even what the artist meant to say. You got to develop ways to evaluate AI art that are like that too, you know? going beyond just numbers.
I can see that. But how do you even begin to measure, like, artistic merit? That seems super subjective, doesn't it?
It's a tough one, for sure. It's complex. But researchers, they're exploring new approaches, taking
Yes.
inspiration from art history, aesthetics, even psychology. So imagine, right, combining what an art historian knows plus how a psychologist understands people, and then use computational methods to actually measure those artistic qualities.
Whoa, okay. That's like a whole new field just to understand AI art.
It might come to that. It's pretty exciting.
Yep.
And kind of daunting, to be honest. But think about what this means, right? It's not just judging art, it's understanding creativity itself. We could unlock new forms of artistic expression, things we haven't even thought of yet.
Okay, yeah. Mind blown. But let's bring it back down to earth for a sec. Some of our listeners might be thinking, cool tech, but what does it do?
Right.
Real world stuff.
Yeah.
Beyond just making pretty pictures.
Oh, there are tons of applications. And they're all like exploding. GANs are already changing how we interact with images online. Take deepfakes, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Incredibly realistic videos of people saying and doing things they never actually did, using GANs for that.
Okay, I gotta admit, that's the part that always kind of freaks me out. The potential for misuse seems so high.
Yeah. It's a double-edged sword, right? The tech itself, it's not inherently good or bad. It's all about how it's used. We've seen how deepfakes can be used for, bad stuff, misinformation, manipulation. But there are some amazing applications, too, in fields like entertainment, education.
Yeah, like recreating historical figures or bringing fictional characters to life on screen.
Exactly. Imagine talking to a historical figure in VR or using deep fakes to make personalized learning experiences.
Wow.
You could literally have a conversation with Albert Einstein or explore the Amazon with Jane Goodall. It's like giving people the ability to experience history and knowledge in a whole new way.
It's not just new tech, it's like a whole new way we experience the world.
Exactly. GANs are making us rethink what truth and authenticity even mean, especially when it comes to, images, videos. It's a powerful tool, and like any powerful tool, it can be used for good or bad. That's why it's important to talk about it, explore the potential, the downsides, approach it with critical thinking.
Speaking of critical thinking, I want to go back to what you said earlier about FID and IS and their limitations. If they don't capture everything about AI art, what's the alternative? How do we go beyond the numbers?
That's the big question, right? Honestly, we're still working on it. But I think we can start by looking at how we evaluate, human art. We don't just look at technique. We look at the impact, the emotional response, the message the artist is trying to get across.
So, ask ourselves, what does this AI image make me feel? What's it saying about the world? Does it, challenge me, make me think in new ways?
Exactly. And it goes even deeper than that, right? We need to think about the context. Who created this image? What were they thinking? What message are they trying to send? How does it fit into the bigger picture?
We're basically building a whole new way to look at and understand images.
Yeah.
In this age of AI.
Which is cool, but also kind of overwhelming. The rules keep changing. It's definitely evolving constantly, but that's what makes it so exciting. We're at the edge of something big, something revolutionary, and we're all figuring it out together.
Okay, before we get too deep into the philosophy of it all, let's talk tech again. We've talked faces, deep fakes, art. What about making entire 3D worlds with GANs?
Oh, yeah.
Feels like the next frontier.
It is. 3D image generation is moving so fast, and GANs are a big part of that. Imagine creating, these immersive virtual places, not just for games, but for education, training, even therapy. Think about architecture, design, making and exploring 3D models of buildings before they're even built.
Not just making images anymore, we're making experiences.
Exactly. And it's more than just visuals. Researchers are using GANs to, make 3D models of molecules for drug discovery or simulate complex systems for research, even create personalized prosthetics. It's a huge shift in how we approach problems and innovate.
Okay, mind blown again, officially.
It's wild, isn't it? And what's crazy is we're still so early in this tech. We're constantly finding new possibilities, new ways to push the boundaries.
We open this door to a whole new creative dimension.
Yeah.
And we're just starting to see what's inside.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I think the big takeaway here is that this tech isn't just about making images. It's about, unlocking our creative potential as humans.
Giving us new tools to express ourselves, to understand the world, to shape the future in ways we can't even imagine.
Exactly.
It's like we've been given this digital paintbrush, right?
But it can paint more than just pictures. It can paint, whole realities.
Yeah, it's powerful stuff.
It's exciting, but also kind of comes with, responsibility.
Huge responsibility.
Yeah.
And that's where the ethics conversation really comes in. As this tech gets more powerful, easier to use, we need to think about how to use it right, how to minimize the bad stuff, make sure it benefits everyone.
Because the potential for misuse is there. We've seen it with deepfakes. Spreading misinformation, manipulating people. How do we even begin to deal with that?
Well, it's a big problem. We need a multi-pronged approach, you know?
Mhm. For one, we need to teach people about the tech itself, how it works, the limitations. The more people understand about GANs, deepfakes, the better they'll be at spotting them and critically evaluating what they see online.
Right. So media literacy is key, helping people develop that healthy skepticism, questioning what they see, not just taking everything at face value.
Exactly. And we need to be developing tools, technologies to detect and fight those malicious deepfakes. There are already researchers working on algorithms that can, analyze videos, look for signs of manipulation. Platforms are starting to flag or remove deepfakes that are obviously meant to deceive.
But it feels like a constant race, doesn't it? As the tech improves, so do the fakes. And it's not just about deepfakes, right? There are bigger concerns, how AI-generated content could, reinforce biases, spread propaganda, even erode trust in institutions.
You're right. Those are some of the core challenges. And there are no easy answers, But I think it starts with building a culture of critical thinking. Transparency, the accountability. We got to be open and honest about the potential impact of this tech, the good and the bad. We need diverse voices in how these tools are made and used, and we got to hold people accountable when they misuse them.
That's a lot. But it feels necessary, right? We can't just ignore it and pretend it's not happening.
Exactly. The genie's out of the bottle. We got to learn how to work with it, guide it in the right direction for the benefit of, humanity.
This whole conversation has really changed how I look at images online. Getting looking at everything with a much more critical eye now.
That's a good thing. A little healthy skepticism is important these days. Gotta remember, just because something looks real doesn't mean it is real.
So for our listeners who are just starting to learn about all this, what's the one thing you want them to take away?
I'd say the most important thing is this tech is still so new. We're just getting started. There are challenges, definitely risks, but there's also this amazing potential for good. So approach it with curiosity, critical thinking, and be willing to, be part of the conversation about how we shape its future.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive. Thanks for joining us as we explored this amazing and often mind-blowing world of GANs and image generation. Hope you learned something new and maybe even had your mind blown a few times.
It was great to be here. Thanks for having me.
And for all of you listening, remember, the next time you see an image and you're like, whoa, that's incredible, take a second and think, was this made by a person or by the silent, always evolving genius of a GAN? Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and stay curious.